Hello again, Vagrus in training here. Currently still in Avernum. Gonna have to do work I really did not ask for. Doing some investigations. Now, last time I did a thing, melted down some scrap metal, and I got really happy over it. And then I took a closer look and realized that we cannot buy scrap metal over here, only sell it, and Avernum is not actually our destination. We actually have to go to Devon to take the metal. So as much as I would be happy to see all of this melted down into iron, selling it for a good price, I have a feeling I should at least keep this 19 scrap metal I currently have left. But then I found something else. This dwarven compass that I bought for a pittance. This actually sells really well, and if I were to sell this, that actually would give me enough money to buy another beast of burden, if the game allows, which of course directly translates into more inventory space. So I think I'm actually going to do that. Sell this. Buy one beast of burden. That has a hefty extra consumption, so that's gonna need even more supplies. But I think in the long run it's gonna be worth it. If nothing else, when I run out of regular supplies, I can always butcher it. Little expensive meat, but you know, desperate times and all that. So if I were to buy one beast of burden, each carries 80 cargo. We have 9 slots open. So how does the game calculate slots and cargo space? Let's find out. So if I were to buy one more beast of burden, that directly translates into 4 slots. Okay, that's pretty nice. Let's exchange news. Keep it fresh for the day. I imagine we're gonna be staying here for at least a day or two. Okay, how much do we have of everything? I'm probably going to buy another scout. 3 doesn't sound like a good enough number. Actually, make it 5. Nice and even. And maybe another fighter. Just so I don't have to dismount an outrider in case somehow I lose one of them. Okay, and this actually brings the daily upkeep to a nice even 5 lirg. That's gonna be easier to calculate. Consumption's a little high. It's basically a full stack of supplies every other day. Well, that's even easier to calculate then. Okay, I'm going to keep these ingots where they are. Maybe there's another settlement on the way that's gonna be able to take it off my hands for more. I think I'm going to fill all these slots with supplies once I'm out of here. But enough of that. Let's see what we can do today. I think this wasn't here last day. Visit the sorcerer. They say a powerful sorcerer lives in the Villa district. The tower of Incanus the sorcerer stands at the border of the hill, overlooking the streets and alleys filled with foundries and forges on the northeast side of Avernum. Half engulfed in smog, the tower stands much taller than any building nearby. That's typically how towers work, yes? The soot-covered walls made of black stone are so smooth that it looks almost seamless. A line of gigantic fang-like spikes crowns the flat top of the tower. You walk up to the iron gate, where a large eye carved out of obsidian comes alive and gives you a good stare before emitting a strange moan and becoming motionless again. The gates open slowly to reveal a spacious antechamber that you enter. The roof is supported by black, smooth stone pillars. Magical lights float sleepily around like fireflies. There are sofas and chairs here, enough to seat a dozen guests in great comfort. Somehow the place feels odd. It is many times larger on the inside than it should be, judging from the outside. It's literally Sorcerer Tower. Not sure why we're surprised here. The imposing figure of Incanus stands motionless in the center of the antechamber and greets you in a monotone voice. You can't figure out if he's bored or simply lacks emotions in general, but he's courteous and very perceptive. You can only feel his piercing gaze from under the large hood of his crimson robes. There is something on your mind, Vagrus. Something you hope I'll provide a solution for. And you know that it'll have a price, he drawls. Okay, we can pay you Lyric to ask about the last pilgrimage. He's a collector of rarities and curios. Perhaps he's interested in one of your items. Pay him to identify something for you. Interesting. I wonder what there could be that needs identifying. Okay, what do we have? Incanus examines the items you brought him with great care, but without uttering a word. He offers a price for each of them that pique his interest. Okay, we can sell the bone necklace. Pretty much for the same price. I bought it. Okay. Well, this is a nice profit for the figurine. Okay, sell the energy crystal. Maybe I'll hold on to it for a while. Oh, he could have taken the compass too, but for significantly less than I sold it right at the market. Looking glass, amulet of protection, dragonstone of teleportation. These are really specific things. Dragon egg. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Demon horn. Don't really like the sound of that. Dwarven gadget. Tribal trinket. Okay, looks like there's all sorts of stuff. There is to be found out there. Let's sell the figurine for now. Little bit of extra income. And with upkeep being the way it is, That's basically 8 extra days that I can pay the company. Okay, let's learn a bit about the last pilgrimage. The sorcerer hesitates only a little before motioning with his long-fingered hand for you to sit down. You comply. Something tells me that you've had an encounter with this cavalcade of spirits. Tell me about it, he says after he pockets your coins and sits down himself. You carefully recite your chance meetings with the last pilgrimage. Every now and then, Incanus interrupts you to ask very specific questions about your experiences with the specters. He seems especially interested in your visions that triggered when the undead procession was near. Incanus stays silent and motionless for a long while after you've finished telling the story. At length, he stirs and asks you in a rasping voice, "What is it exactly that you'd like to know?" Is it possible that they're following me? Ah, that is the question, isn't it? Incanus scratches his scrawny beard with skeletal fingers. All information collected by the wise throughout the centuries, as well as anecdotal accounts, tell us that the appearance of the pilgrimage is completely random and there has never been anyone recorded who encountered them twice, not even madmen who were looking for them. So when you told me about the 2 times you've met the pilgrims, I was skeptical. Yet, I can see that you are telling the truth. The sorcerer clears his throat. There are 2 possibilities, I believe. 1, it was indeed chance, however minuscule, that you happened upon them a second time. The chances of a third encounter are negligible. 2, they were roaming a specific region, in this case, Arenas Negras, and because there is practically nobody in that region, they converged on the only living beings nearby, your comitatus. In any case, I'd avoid the desert of Black Sands and its border ranges for a while if I were you, and thank the gods for surviving 2 such chance meetings. You were not planning to visit that dreadful place anyways. Okay, let's leave it at that for now. You thank Incanus for his help. Okay, goodbye. Let's do a quick city exploration. We can only do this once a day, so why not? You climb the stairs and terraces that lead up to the higher tier of the city. It is quite tough in the choking smog, yet pays off when the musky scent of mushrooms hits your nose. Opening from a side street is one of the entrances to the public gardens of Avernum. You decide to take a walk and clear your head. Winding pathways create a veritable maze among the trunks of the great mushrooms that stand thick as trees of a forest. Under the canopy of the caps, the soothing darkness is only broken by well-placed crystal lamps along the cobbled paths. It is like stepping into another world. There's no drifting ash, nor the clamor of the city. The air is cool and not as dry as out in the streets. You sit down in one of the gazebos and ruminate for hours. It is most tranquil here. You are in a good mood after your rest at the gardens, and it radiates to others. Oh hey, +1 morale. Always nice. Okay, and with the mood lifted, let's get the annoying stuff out of the way finally. Let's investigate. We have 3 leads. You decide to follow up on one of the leads given to you by Cedarius. Which one will you choose? You can only pursue one of the 3 investigations per day. Alright, so gonna be here for 3 days at the least. I think it's easiest to go with the Centurion. Cedarius said he's a drunkard, so this might be the easiest one. The Rusty Pugio is a fairly clean establishment. with primarily soldier and veteran regulars. Because of this, not many shady fellows visit the place. That does not mean, however, that the regulars are well-behaved or sober. You can see a legionnaire passed out on a bench, while a few auxiliary troopers are playing a dice game in the far corner, laughing and swearing foully. You ask the barman if Vartispendius is here, and he points you to a swarthy, short, pot-bellied man in his 40s, wearing the dirty armor and uniform of a centurion. His helmet rests next to him on the bar. He's drinking alone. Okay, didn't do this at the beginning of the game. With Narbo, let's ask Javek to spy on his mind. See if there's anything advantageous we can get before he gets too drunk. Javek concentrates briefly while looking in the general direction of the Centurion. He sighs after a few seconds and turns away. Can't do it, boss. He's drunk, which means his thoughts are behind a kind of a fog. Even if he wasn't, I can't find specific things, I can only read what he's thinking about. You need to guide him, to think about the patrol, and even so, there's no guarantee that my abilities will be useful here. You know, then decide what to do next. Oh well, it was worth a try. Let's talk to the bartender. Maybe there's a clue over here? The bartender leans closer as you gesture to her, large shoulders and a legionnaire tattoo indicating that she's a veteran. You carefully tell her that you wish to spice up Pendius's drinks, but mean him no harm. Her eyes narrow, the scar on her cheek twists into a wicked smile. Good luck with that old boozer if you think you can get him smashed. But why would I help? Okay, we can pay her off. Convince her to spice up Pendius's drinks from now on. Persuasion, charismatic. Helps the chances. Okay, resourcefulness comes back every day, so there really is no downside to using this, I feel like. Let's try it. Are you kidding me? 87% chance and we failed. And lost money. What a way to start this. You take the first mug of spiced up booze to the Centurion. Vartispendius eyes the drink suspiciously, but his alcoholism gets the better of him, and giving you a friendly smile, he takes it. And what do I owe this gift, friend? Fellow soldier? You don't look like that to me. He slurs his words as he eyes you up and down. The two of you start to chat, with Javek sitting at the table in line of sight. You know you have to bring the conversation to the patrol he went on near the Molten Tongue, so that your friend can read his corresponding thoughts. Pendius is already more than tipsy from the spiced up booze, but he's still a little wary. Okay, maybe this test was meant to make all his drinks spiced, which would probably have lowered his resistance the longer we talked. And now we don't get that. Okay, we have no skill in conning, so that's not gonna work. Looks like the best we can do is spend even more money and resourcefulness. Oh, I see. Using resourcefulness. Is not specific to that one choice. Rather, immediately works with all of them. Okay. Maybe this time. What? Oh. Pandius has formidable resilience when it comes to booze, so much so that it seems impossible to you. You guide the conversation to his notorious patrol to the north that only he survived. Not even his intoxication can hide his fear when he talks about the recon mission. Not what you think it was. Those poor boys deserved not this, he says angrily. You could swear there are tears in his eyes. He mumbles about the whole affair not being what it seemed. Then he turns to you, snarling. Who are you? What do you want of me? His shouting draws several off-duty legionnaires of the Avernus Legion who start to question you. You eventually get rid of them, but you can't help but notice their suspicious looks. Yeah, that really didn't go well. Oh well. That's just how the dice rolls, I suppose. So, this one was a bust, apparently. You go back to the Mancio, where Jafek tells you he was mostly successful in reading the drunkard's thoughts on the patrol. Oh hey, at least there's that. He's clearly paranoid about the whole matter. He recalled his comrades being killed, but not out there in the wastes. It happened in some kind of a death trap in a large room. All young recruits. I think they publicly set up his patrol only to kill off everyone but him, and taught him to pretend they got slaughtered by abolitionists in the north. Basically, they created a fake story to make our nightly associate and his cronies think that they were going to find a camp there. It boggles my mind how far they went to protect something. He kept thinking about Scoria, the district here in town. Maybe the massacre was done here. You are done with this part. Okay, so next day we can pick up with the others. You know what? There was this order for reinforced carts that we can commission, and it's gonna take 3 days. And it has this tag that it's story relevant. So I have a feeling that we need this before we continue. So let's place the order. Gonna come back in 3 days. Let's see what's going on in the fighting pit. There isn't a real arena in Avernum, but no imperial city could be imagined without at least a fighting pit. The one in this city is fairly large, however. Recently, it has not seen a lot of fights in spite of public demand. You learn that no Lanista favors the place since a gladiator revolt a few months back, which left dozens dead and most pit fighters gone. Okay, what is a Lanista? Lanistas are owners and trainers of gladiators, but in the 4th Age the term is specifically used for people who become professional gladiator managers. Most of them are not of noble birth, as aristocrats rarely need to engage in the career of a Lanista, in spite of often owning gladiators. I see. Since then, the pit has been used for public executions only. Joy. That is about to change, however, as the new man in charge wants to see the place rise again. This might even give you an opportunity to have your companions fight in the pit, as they are giving the chance to anyone right now. I don't think that's a good idea. As you have seen before, healing in this game is very slow affair. I'd rather not do that. We can bet on the fight. Well, seeing how my luck seems to be going today, I'd rather not. Seek out the medicals, it might be beneficial to your own crew. I'm guessing these are the healers of the gladiators. The fat medicus greets you with a smile. She's quite a disgusting character, but they say she's really good at what she does, patching up pit fighters from wounds that by all rights should kill them. The medicus has a lot of spare medical supplies, since there's been only a few fights and she's willing to part with them. Okay, so here we can buy medical supplies. I currently have 10. I still don't understand why I haven't used any, because I do remember hitting the button for using it at least twice, and I still have 10. Okay, at least now I know where to find it. Okay, nothing else. Let's rest for the day. Let's pay them now. Let's see. No, vigor is at maximum. Looks like staying in a city does that. I don't like how nutrition seems to be dropping along with obedience, seems like. Okay, last time I did full hospitality for extra morale. I think this time this one will do. Don't really need the vigor. Well, you know, if I don't need the vigor anyway, might as well go with this one. Probably gonna have to do something about obedience soon. But currently I think this is as good as it gets. Okay, strange. If I use both of them, they actually have a lower chance of success. Okay, let's send the slaves. I'm still curious if it actually costs movement points while in a city, because last time it actually cost vigor. Yeah, let's do it like this. Nope, it always costs vigor. Or maybe it only costs vigor when it fails. That could be it. That's probably it actually. And I just have rotten luck with all of these. Okay, did anything change here? No, doesn't look like it. Okay. I think I have time today for one more investigation. Let's go to the Slag Fort. Well, no, actually. The Slag Fort is the seat of local power here. I have a feeling that if this goes wrong, we're gonna have to leave in a hurry. So probably let's go to the Smatter's Collegium in Gallows Anvil first. The Collegium's headquarters is a large tavern called Gallows Anvil, right next to a bathhouse at the border of Scoria and the streets below the Villa district filled with foundries and metallurgical workshops. The place is among the better ones in town, and the regulars are smiths, smatters, their novices and merchants. All belong to the Smatters Guild. It would not be difficult to find someone higher up in the guild and talk to them. Javek can scan whoever you talk to for surface thoughts, but asking about their possible connection to abolitionists might raise suspicion. So, how do you want to approach them? We can pretend to be a merchant, wanting to deal in the black market. Introduce ourselves as someone seeking to join abolitionists. I think that has about as much chance of working out as just going to someone on the street and ask for drugs. We can attempt to bribe them for information directly. I don't think that's gonna work either, mostly because this is a guild, and guilds are doing bribes professionally. I think the objectively best option here is to play their game. Pretend to be a merchant, which is technically true actually, as a Vagrus. The two fellows you and Javek end up talking to, representatives of the Collegium, are quite open to letting you buy wares from the black market for a modest contribution to the guild. They do have some questions about how you learned of their involvement with the market though. After you assure them it was from business associates outside of the city, they seem content. Then they ask you what kind of goods you wish to buy. Alright, we can say we heard of cheap contraband they got from ill-fortuned comitati, and we're interested in that. Or tell them you want to buy slaves. Okay, let's think here for a bit. We want to find the abolitionists. So if we say we want to buy slaves, then even if they are working with the abolitionists, they would never tell us, since we are not aligned with their views. Let's go with this one. Stuff gets redistributed in the wasteland, so to speak, explains one of them, a fellow with a bushy beard. Some of our associates find them and bring them to us. It's good stuff too. Weapons, tools. We also repair them, make them better. So you give us the order for what you're looking for, and our people will come to you with the goods. You tell them you will think about placing an order before you leave town. Time to leave. You consult Javek when you are far from Gallows Anvil. He looks exhausted. Sorry boss, it was very tough jumping between minds. Didn't get much from them, apart from a sense that our nightly friend's suspicion was well founded. They surely have dealings with the abolitionists, but protect their identities far more vehemently than that of simple illegal business partners. I could not get much, except a glimpse of a street with a long yellow building, when one guy was thinking about contacting their associates. That'll have to do with Sims. And that's gonna have to do for this episode of Vagrus. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please do leave a like on this video, and I'm gonna be back with another one. Until then, have a nice day.